Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar From Ideas to Execution, How to Start Your First Local Business. Thank you for joining us. I would like to also greet our esteemed guest speakers who have joined us this morning. So my name is Mpumekele from Kanya M Creative Solutions, a marketing communications agency. I'm the founder of the marketing agency. So this webinar is being hosted by Proudly South African, which is a membership-based organization. So Proudly South African is the country's official buy local advocacy organization which ensures that the campaign is aligned with the government's objective of combating the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and above all, unemployment. So Proudly South Africans' clarion call is buy local to create jobs. I would like to encourage you to follow Proudly South African on social media, on Twitter, which is X now, the handle is at proudly.sa, and then on Instagram it's at proudly.sa, and then on Facebook it's Proudly South African, as well as on LinkedIn as Proudly South African. So you can use the hashtag, the official hashtag, uh, hashtag buy local to create jobs, so that we may be able to see who has posted about this webinar. I encourage you to post about the insights that you gain from this webinar. So are you ready to turn your local business idea into the reality? So the speakers today, as you will also notice, they are the founders of businesses, so they have been able to move their business idea to execution. So starting your first business can be exciting, but it can also be overwhelming without the right guidance, right? So this webinar, it will be actionable, step-by-step webinar designed to help you move more confidently from concept to the launch of your business. Whether you're still brainstorming or already have an idea in mind, the session will equip you with the mindset, tools, and strategies you need to get started the right way. So the purpose of this webinar is just to help the South African to understand entrepreneurship, understand how to identify and evaluate a viable business idea, discover simple, low-cost ways to test demand, understand basic marketing channels and tactics for launching on a budget, and get the customer insights and gain clarity on business structures, registration, and essential compliance steps. So our first speaker today in this webinar will be Kylan Mendes, who is the owner of Raphael Advertising Agency. So Kylan will be discussing with you the beyond the data, discovering who your customer really is. Uh, Kylie, you may come in and just engage with the audience. I would like to encourage you to use the chat box as well, to write your questions, or also just to write your comments about the session in the chat box. Thank you. Kaylin, you may come in.
Thank you, Mpume. Appreciate it. Thank you, Proudly South Africa, for this initiative. We think helping the SMEs in our country is fundamental to seeing an economic shift in our country. So, yeah, more of this, please. Okay, so I'm about to share my presentation with everybody. Just give me 1 second as I start this. Share. Oh, can we all see it? A nod, a yes, perfect. Okay, so thank you for having me here today. How's it, everyone? My name is Kaylin Mendes, and I'm from Rahul Creative Agency. Basically, we're a creative agency that looks at building brands and campaigns for small brands all the way to multinational brands. Yeah. We also look at what the customer experience should be for your brand based on your customer profile. And we worked with various institutions across we worked with various companies across the board. And a few companies that you'll see in this video playing in the background, some that you may know, some multinationals, some SMEs that you wouldn't have come across, but probably engage with them in some way in the background of your life, such as payment portals or property development companies that actually are the backbone of the property industry. And we work with them in building their brands for customer audience of today. Customer audience that's representative of the diverse profile that is South Africa, and, and the diverse profile that is, the diverse profile that is South African, um, and an ever-changing market that is due to many complexities such as AI. Okay, so if you're building a brand in South Africa, right? Today, there's one thing that I think each one of us know in your gut. That is, our customers are not data points. They are people, and people are complicated. Just change. Sorry, I'm just having some technical difficulties with the screen. I see. I've just been told that it is not full screen. So I'm just going to expand that, and hopefully it works. Uh, so, um, everyone is basically where we find ourselves is that in South Africa, we live in a world obsessed with numbers, views, clicks, conversions, funnel metrics. And this is a global thing, not just South African. We track everything, we measure everything. We stare at dashboards for hours on end, trying to get some form of data in which we can build some form of communication to our customers, right? And whilst data is important, it's not the gospel in my world. Okay? Data tells you of what's happened, but we need to understand why it's happened. And this is where customer profiling becomes so important. Because if you do not understand why your customer did what they did, you cannot build loyalty, trust, or repeat customers. You cannot build a brand that is going to be entrenched in your customer's heart forever, nor can you build a movement that is actually going to change lives and behavior. So, so whilst data will tell you what happened, it does not tell you why it's happened. And like I said, loyalty is at the forefront of what we are trying to build within a customer profile in order for them to have repeat behavior with you. But there is a shift in the world at the moment, right? So globally, customers are changing. They are more anxious and they find about the future and where they possibly could end up. And they are more selective with where they spend their money. They want to go beyond just the price point. Okay? So they're looking for something that is a little bit more emotional, tangible in their lives. And so um, they're also not looking for brands to sell them things, just products. Behind what they're looking for is a purpose behind the product, a mission behind the products that is going to be sold to them. So the business that wins in the 2025 and beyond category is not one that knows how many consumers are buying from them, but the reason why these consumers are buying. Yeah. And at Ruffle, we've seen a fundamental shift in how we have to do business in order to speak more fluently to our customers in ways that they are willing to receive from us. When we work with education brands, we discover that for institutions, for instance, and students, we're not looking for qualifications. They were looking for hope, for belonging, for an identity to belong to. So whilst we sell them a qualification, there's an identity and a sense of hope that we are trying to instill in them, in selling them the qualification. We look at some of my property brand companies, they aren't looking at buying a brick and mortar. home. They're looking at buying a lifestyle, a status, an identity for themselves. This next chapter in their life, be them single parents or just single or starting a family, first time home buyers, second time home buyers, investment buyers. This forms part of an identity that they're trying to create. Okay. When we look at some of our lifestyle brands that we are working with, and some of the fashion brands that we've noticed, and we see that the customer isn't just buying a piece of material that they put on to cover themselves. They buy pair of jeans that make them feel sexy, confident, and makes them feel in charge, makes them feel like they can step out into society. So behind everything that a consumer looks for within a brand is purpose, mission, linked to emotion. Because the core truth is that people don't buy products. People buy feeling, outcomes, and a version of themselves that they want to expose to the world. So this is a very simple truth that most of us have this dichotomy in ourselves where we want to show the parts of ourselves that make the world uncomfortable because that's part of our true selves, but parts of ourselves that actually make ourselves uncomfortable. But we are suppressed by this because of what society feels. So data feeds into one part of this, it doesn't feed into the emotional context, which is what humans try to express. We aren't just numbers, we aren't feeding into an aggregated system. There's this emotion behind a human. So, who is your customer becoming when they choose your brand? This is such an important question for new owners or founders of business to unpack. This question is fundamental because it will continuously shape as you change, as you reshape your business. So I will challenge all of you to have this as the big watermark on your office somewhere on your screen. Who is your customer becoming when they choose your brand? Okay? And at what we found is that when it comes to dissecting that persona, the customer is often fallen into three traps: demographics, assumptions, and averages. Okay. And this is all data driven. So whilst demographics is interesting to know, especially if your business is geographic, if you're just the impact of your business is geographical, then this is important to know. But it's absent from understanding the purpose behind why consumers do what they do. Assumptions, right? You are not your customer. Whilst you may have started off with the passion in your heart that is true to deliver a product or a service to your customer, you will never fully be your customers. So it's imperative that you fully understand them. This is based on continuous research, continuous work in trying to unpack with them. And while averages help you ring fence your budget when you are thinking of how am I going to reach this target audience, want to fit a profile of a working mom with two kids, great. You can build averages around what that certain profile, but it does not remove the individual strive or the individual drive to purchase. So it's important to understand your consumer. Again, I would say that. So from Ruffle side, what we've learned is that in order for us to mitigate these traps, we listen before we build any piece of communication. We find the emotional trigger. It is important, pertinent to figuring out what is the catalyst to getting my functional product linked to my customer's life, which needs an emotional integration. We identify the job that needs to be done in order to speak to this customer. Right? What is the thing we need to overcome? And we map out moments of truth. And these are other moments in which we can possibly reach the customer. And we communicate like we are human, because we are. And whilst we may be in a digital world, the person behind the screen still has emotions, feelings, and needs to be, which needs to be leveraged. Okay. So I think a big lesson for us, that is important to a big lesson for us, um, that and a quick example for us was that we started with a natural hair product. On paper, the customer was a woman, was 25 years old, all the way to 45 years old, and South African. That is not a category. That is not a customer for us to actually choose from. That's just a demographic. But when you dig deeper, you find in the profile that this person that we are speaking to is tired, of being told how unprofessional they are, because their hair is not done a certain way in the working environment. We found that they're unconfident in walking into a room because their hair isn't seen as the crown jewel as they think it actually is. It's seen as an obstruction. So the products that we ended up working with, ended up shifting the actual icon on their packaging, to demonstrate, that they understand their customer segment. So why I tell you this anecdotal piece of information? Well, whilst this is the jeans brand on your left-hand side, it is of a woman for sure, but it's not of a woman demonstrating her sexuality. It's a woman expressing confidence. Whilst this is for a student, a university ad in the middle, this does not profile a typical student. It profiles hope, what the future of a student could actually what the future life of a student could actually be. Whilst this is an image of a homeowner walking into his new world, and the square meterage being shown from a street perspective, this speaks to lifestyle. This speaks to emotional context. Each one of these picked photos I'm sharing with you speak to a true emotional context relevant to the customer within segment. Because trust is a currency, right? And people choose brands that they feel consistent and human. You've seen these two images I've shown you. There would be of VWs. VW being one of the brands that we've all known for, most of us know, that is shown consistently and demonstrated the human connection between a product and the target audience. So while small businesses, are hard to get off the ground, the way you can win is through authenticity, proximity, and personal relationships with your customer. It's so important not to lose this as you scale. As many big brands have been able to keep this, such as the Coca-Cola, for instance. And you can respond, and whilst you're a small brand, you may be able to respond faster and connect deeper than what other brands do. So in your foundational years, guys, understanding, how you connect authentically with your customer should be at the forefront of what you are trying to do. So how do you do that? You may be asking me. Okay, cool. Well, here's a quick, one pager, and you can screenshot this, but I'm sure the team will share this presentation with you as well. Here's 4 steps that you can start doing practically as of tomorrow to get to understand your customer better. Speak to 5 customers, not family members, not friends, customers, potential customers that you want, and really get to understand them and to understand what are their pain points, their pressure points. Ask them, ask what almost made them leave your brand if you are an established brand already. Right? And identify an emotional job, that you were asked to do for them. Essentially, um, if my product is to serve you in your salon, how can it alleviate, um, time pressures that your hairstylist, and then rewrite your messaging based on what is the job that your product needs to do. Because if you remember one simple truth, insights start where data stops. Okay? And it's in your job as an owner and a founder to figure out what those insights for your customer actually are. Because the future is not driven, it is human guided. And while data may reveal what has happened in the past, it's your duty to put an emotional overlay on what is the expectation of your customer. Because behind every customer, there's a human truth, a human reason why they are doing what they're doing. Most of the time, it's linked to survival, but survival can be re-articulated in many forms. Um, and lastly, I'll leave you with know the why you are upholding the brand or the people you believe in. So know the why. Unpack the reason why you are doing this. And that's it for me. Yeah?
Thank you so much, Kaylin, for that great presentation. If there are any questions from the audience, you can just put them in the chat box. We'll be able to attend to the questions during the Q&A towards the end of the webinar. So our next speaker for today's webinar will be Palisa Diale. Our next speaker will be Palisa Diale from Beige Butterfly. She's the founder of Beige Butterfly, and she will be discussing with you about finding and refining your business idea, how to spot good business opportunities. Palisa, you can come in and engage with the audience. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So today we're talking about something that every entrepreneur, every hustler, and every dreamer has actually gone through, which is trying to figure out what business idea is worth pursuing and how to know if that idea can actually survive in the real world. So my name is Palisa Diale, and I am the owner and founder of Beige Butterfly. So we all get ideas, whether it's in the shower, while complaining, while seeing something done badly and thinking, oh gosh, I could actually do this better. But only a few ideas turn into real businesses. So today I basically want to break down how to spot a genuine business idea, how to refine an idea, what factors matter when choosing a business path, and also just a little bit of insight on how Beige Butterfly found its direction. So it's nothing complicated, nothing academic either. It's just real world lessons that make sense. Okay, so why business ideas matter. So every business, even the huge ones that you know of today, started with a simple thought, not necessarily just a business plan or a loan. It was just an idea. But the real skill in knowing how to turn a random thought into something structured with potential, you know, most people don't struggle with coming up with ideas. They struggle with choosing the right ones. Okay, so let me give you a little bit of insight on Beige Butterfly. So Beige Butterfly has let's say 2.5 divisions. It's actually 3, but the other one is still a work in progress. The first one is that we are a hair and skincare company. So we manufacture organic hair and skincare products that help with your sensitive skin, psoriasis, eczema prone skin. So it's basically a healing product for your largest organ. And then we also have our water division, which came just after the skincare division, where I kind of thought, well, if I can't just fix it externally, how about we try and nurture the insides as well, which water is a great source of healing your skin and also just basic health. So Beige Butterfly started from an observation. my own personal observation and the observation of looking at people around me and strangers in shopping malls and stuff. So how the business started was that in 2016, I had a miscarriage, and while I was in hospital, just before they discharged me, they injected me with something that was not good for my body, which completely changed my entire system. So with that, then over time, I started developing hormonal acne, and it didn't get any better. And that's basically how it all started, because then I started experimenting with organic products, just trying to find a solution, because products that were out there that are on the shelves already were just not working for me. They were a temporary fix for a permanent problem. So, how I saw it was that people wanted affordable but good skincare and hair care products. I struggled with that personally, and people wanted water that they could trust. And that's kind of how the water division also started. But also it started because our community in Rustenburg and Phuket, we actually struggle with water. I don't know why, but we struggle with clean and good quality drinking water. So that's kind of how it all started. All right. So I didn't sit down and say, okay, let me start a brand. I said, okay, there's a need. Let me try and meet it. So I started playing around with products and started testing products and tested markets and tested different types of branding and presentation, and slowly realizing that, there's something important. People weren't just interested, they were returning. They were returning for how many products did I have? I think I had 4 products in the beginning, and people were returning for just those 4 products, which was a great step for me. And it was also an indication that, you're doing something right. So that's the simplest indicator of a viable idea. It's not likes, it's not compliments, not people saying, oh, one day I'll order, but repeat customers, they are your go-to. So how we tested the idea's viability, did it solve an everyday problem? So basically your dry skin, sensitive skin, and unreliable water resources. So it was basically solving an everyday problem, because everyone drinks water and puts on lotion every single day. And people were actively looking for alternatives, and they were willing to buy from a small brand as long as the quality was consistent. Our costs were manageable, so we could start small while improving step by step. And then growth happened naturally. We weren't begging people to try the products. Demand grew because the products worked. And also another thing was that the community responded positively. When your neighborhood supports you, you're kind of onto something. Your neighborhood and strangers, when they support you, you're onto something good. So that's how we knew that this just wasn't a hobby, it was a business as well. So okay. So what makes a good business opportunity? A good business opportunity usually checks at least a few of these boxes. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few boxes to check, and if yours checks out, then you're on the right path. So people are already spending money on the problem. So if you're not trying to force people to care, it's an uphill battle, right? And then the second thing would be the competition is strong, but not overcrowded. So if you have competition, that means the demand exists. And that is a good thing. And as well as you can start small, but it has room to grow. So don't start big. Don't feel the pressure to start and be great from the onset. Growth potential matters more than the starting point. And then you have some level of interest or curiosity in it. So in the beginning, you don't really need a passion. Curiosity is enough. It's enough to drive you towards having a passion for whatever it is that you get into. And also the last thing is that you can deliver consistently, because one good day doesn't build a business. There are so many bad days, and those are days when that consistency really has to kick in. So why, or rather where people usually mess up when choosing ideas, let's be honest, we've all made at least one of these mistakes, choosing a business just because it's trending, like selling something that everyone else is selling. It could be hair, it could be handbags, without actually finding a way to make a difference. Because trends fade, but sustainability really, really does last. And then starting something that you don't understand, if you can't explain your business simply, then don't do it. Just let it go, leave it alone, and try something else. Also, ignoring the numbers. A beautiful idea with terrible margins is a terrible idea. It will drain you financially, and you will never, ever make money. Also, building a business you secretly dislike. That also is, avoid that, and it will show over time that, not it. And then waiting for the perfect conditions. I think this is something that everybody struggles with, because there's no perfect time. There's only start somewhere. That's what there is. There's only start somewhere. So how do we refine our business ideas? Refinement is the real magic. It's taking something rough and adjusting it until it becomes something functional. So for Beige Butterfly, refinement looked like improving product quality, adjusting our packaging, upgrading labeling systems, improving production flow, and planning expansion with practical equipment. So we don't use anything fancy. We use basic kitchen equipment to make our skincare products. So refinement is not glamorous, but it's what grows a business from a small hustle to a proper brand that you can be really, really proud of. So as we grew, we recognized gaps, and that's when we started to expand as well, eventually getting so we're outsourcing. Someone was manufacturing or producing our water for us, and now we've got our own machines, we've got filling machines, we've got our own mixers, we've got everything that we need right now to have it as a sustainable business, and also cutting costs, which means that now we can hire more people. Every equipment wasn't just an upgrade; it opened a new opportunity. So with the large format printer that we got, it opened an opportunity to start a branding business, not just to brand our own stuff in-house, but to also brand for other people and other businesses. So we got better labeling, which meant, stronger brand presence, and better filling meant faster production, so on and so forth. Sometimes opportunity isn't a new idea, it's improving what you already have. And take your time with improving. There's really, really no pressure. It took us 4 years to get to where we are today. So, okay, so now let's look at important factors when working on a business opportunity. Demand. So who wants this? Why and how often do they want the product or service that you have? And the pricing. Is it affordable for customers, and is it profitable for you? So it might be affordable for me, but is it profitable for you? Is it making you money? Are you able to cover your overheads? That's also really important. Your local market. What works in one area might flop in another. So adjusting to different environments in different areas is also really, really important. Understanding your brand. I think understanding your brand, your product, or your service. Though that is really, really important, because that'll help you adjust in different environments anywhere in the world, whether you are here in South Africa, whether you are abroad, anywhere. Just having that understanding will help you adjust accordingly. And logistics. Can you produce, store, transport, and deliver efficiently? Another thing is that your capacity. It's not just physical capacity, but mental capacity, financial capacity, and emotional capacity. Those really, really take a toll on you, especially when the business is not doing so well. And sustainability. So can the business survive beyond the startup excitement phase. I gave up on my business 3 times before I gave it a 4th try and ended up here. So I would say, even if it feels like it's failing in the beginning, just keep trying, or just realign, re-strategize. I think that's what worked for me. Re-strategizing and realigning myself and trying to just find other ways of making it work. So how to know you're on the right track, right? These signs are simple, but they're real. People buy without begging. There's nothing more beautiful than someone coming to you and saying, "Oh my gosh, this is so great. Can I try it?" After trying it, they're like, "You know what? Give me 2." There's nothing more beautiful than that. And customers returning. Customers returning is return customers are also customers that share or refer you to their friends and their family and their colleagues. Also, another thing is that your product improves over time. That's how you know that you're on the right track, is that you're constantly improving your product, and then you start seeing possibilities, instead of problems. Now you're like, oh no, but if I do this, maybe this then would be better. If I change this, maybe then I would appeal to this demographic, so on and so forth. Another thing that helps you know that you're on the right track is you feel more confident in your direction. And also you can measure your progress and not just hope for it. Celebrate all your wins, eh? Every single win. Every sale, celebrate. Don't celebrate by buying stuff, but celebrate by rejoicing, by putting back into your business. When you feel momentum, even slow momentum, that's usually proof that the idea is good. So the human side of entrepreneurship is the hardest side, because behind every business idea is a human being trying their best. People don't see it, but it is the truth. So some days you'll feel inspired, some days you'll feel overwhelmed, some days you'll question if you should have started at all, if it's worth it, because this feels like a waste of my time, people aren't buying. That's normal. Having a good business idea doesn't mean everything will be easy. It just means that it'll be worth it. You just really, really need to stick it out. You just need to stick it out. So bringing it all together, right? So to summarize, ideas come from curiosity. Being curious about something, a problem that you are trying to solve, right? And then opportunities come from observing real problems. So look around, look in your community, look in amongst your friends, your family, and see, where there's a problem that you could possibly solve. And then also, refinement is what turns ideas into income. Refinement, finding a way to perfect your craft. Doesn't have to be perfect. Don't take the word literally, but making it better. Perfecting your craft is just making it better, constantly making it better. And then, what was another thing? Summarize. Testing is how you avoid expensive mistakes. So always test your market, test your product, test your service, test. And consistency is what keeps the business alive. So you don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to stay open, keep learning, and build step by step. Because you know what I've learned? God wouldn't give you a dream if he didn't want you to achieve it. And that dream isn't random. It's your North Star. It's not a cute Pinterest quote or Sunday fantasy. It's a calling. And the price of that calling is consistency. Because faith without action, that's just wishful thinking dressed up in hope. So you ask yourself, are you ready to outwork your doubts? To face the grind when it's not fun, when it's not glamorous, and when it's not easy? To keep showing up when nobody's clapping for you. Those days, there are many of those days when no one is clapping for you. Because, that's where it happens. It's the quiet. It's in the quiet. It's in the doing. So here's a question that really matters. What's the one step you've been avoiding that could make you closer to that dream. Thank you so much for listening in. My name is Balisa Diale, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, Balisa. I'm sure the audience has learned from your presentation. What an insightful presentation. Thank you. So that was Balisa Diale, the founder of Beige Butterfly. So thank you. Let me also encourage you, audience, that you can follow Proudly South African on social media, on Twitter, which is now X. It is at Proudly SA, and then on Instagram, it's at proudly.sa, and then you can also follow Proudly SA on Facebook. It's Proudly South African, as well as on LinkedIn, it's Proudly South African. So please do post about the webinar, so that your followers can gain the valuable insights that you just gained from the speakers. So our next speaker, who will be our next speaker? So it is Thokozile Mzimela Mangwiro, who is the founder of Nilo Tika. I don't know, Thokozile, am I pronouncing the name of your company correctly? Nilo Tika. Is it Nilo Tika?
Yes, Nilotica, you've got it. Thank you.
All right, okay, thank you, Thokozile. So Thokozile will be sharing the insights with you. We'll be talking about business planning, and then that is without fluff. Business planning without fluff. She's going to share the one-page Learn Business Model canvas, setting goals, priorities, and early metrics. Yeah, quite an interesting topic, Thokozile. You can come in and just engage with the audience. Please remember to write your questions in the chat box, and then also you can just react here on Zoom if you hear that that's something that you are aligned with, that resonates with you when Thokozile is presenting. Thank you. You may come in, Thokozile.
Thank you, Mpumi. I appreciate that. Thank you for having me, Proudly South African. I'm just going to share the one pager, and I hope it adds value to the way you build your businesses going forward. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Thokozile, we can see your screen. Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through that screen quite quickly, but we are trying to keep everything lean. And so, good morning. My name is Thokozile. I am the founder of Nilotica, a hair care brand that started with a PowerPoint packaging in my living room and today sits on shelves across South Africa. One thing I learned very quickly as I was building this brand was that most entrepreneurs do not need a 40-page business plan. They need clarity, and clarity fits on one page. So today I want to show you how you can plan your business without the fluff, using one page that is lean, a business model canvas, and how to set goals, priorities, and early matrices that actually move your business forward. So let's start here first. Why do traditional business plans fail? A bit of the truth, traditional business plans are dated for most modern entrepreneurs. The world is moving fast. We don't have time to be looking at pages and pages of business plans. They are no longer theoretical. They take months to write. They even get confusing when you have changes that are required. They give a false sense of progress. You're not testing ideas, you're not building anything, but you feel like you're working on your business, but you're not talking to the customer, the core of your business. When I started Nilotica, not a single retailer asked me for a long business plan. They wanted to know one thing. Do the customers love the product? Is there actual demand, real demand? A fluffy plan doesn't build a business. Clarity and action do. And so let's introduce the lean business model canvas. So let's talk about that pager with 9 sections. This is a tool I wish I had when I started. It's a 1-pager, 9 boxes. You fill them in as you go, and they will give you clarity at the shortest space of time. All those factors matter. So the 9 sections, as we go through them, the first one is customer segments. Who are you actually serving? Not everyone is your customer. You have to be specific and you have to study the very customer that you're servicing. So for Nilotica, it was women with coily hair, like my own, who wanted to moisturize their hair. So when I started the brand, I had very dry hair, had very long dreadlocks. I loved them, but my hair was dry all the time. And when I looked at the shelves in the retail stores, there was nothing created for my hair. And so Nilotica focuses on myself as the first customer, but on women that are exactly like me who needed their hair to be moisturized. Moving on to the problem. What problem are you trying to solve? Again, for Nilotica, it was dryness, breakage, and shrinkage. Initially dryness because that was what I was going for. That was what I was going through. But breakage and shrinkage came as the brand grew and we got to understand our customer. Hair that is dry tends to break, sits in shrinkage, and people do not like that. So we also had terrible packaging on the shelves. And the one thing I wanted to focus on was products that looked beautiful. Besides that they worked, I wanted the customer to see the product and see themselves in those products. The third segment, what is your unique value proposition? Why would someone choose you? What's so special about the product or the service that you want to offer the customer? And you have to start there to understand what it is you're doing and why you want to even start the business. In our case, we said moisture-rich, African hair care designed, high quality. High quality was very important, but the results. So I always mention that my background is IT and everything IT needs to work. So when I created the product, the first thing I wanted it to do was to create real results. And that's what we see since we started till today. Moving on to number 4, the solution. What's the simplest version of your product that solves the problem? So are you offering products? Are you offering services? We started with 4 products, right? We didn't have a shampoo when we started. But with the butters and the oils, we knew when the customer really loved the product, we really knew that we had something special. And then we had to understand what channels are we using to get that product out there. Where do we find people that we're selling our products to? We started online on Shopify. That's how we started selling Nilotica. We used a lot of social media to move the product around. In your case, are you using online stores? Are you going to use retail? Are you going to use Instagram to sell? Technology has evolved quite a bit. There's TikTok shops now. Are you going to use markets? So there's various channels that you can use to actually sell your products. Revenue streams, the 6th point. Simply, how are you going to make money? So I could have created Nilotica for myself, beautiful butters, conditioners, and detangling creams for myself. If I had not put it out into the market to get to understand how the customer would receive it, I wouldn't know if the product could even make money. So you need to understand if you're offering the very products. Are you offering a subscription service? Are you a wholesaler? Are you giving services? You need to pinpoint the type of service that you're going to give to your customer, and all those compose of a service. And so moving on to number 7, what is your cost structure? What are the essential costs to run your business? Very important. You're going to have to stop a little bit and just assign each cost to each section of whatever service you're going to give your customer. Take your time here budgeting each cent. If you don't understand your margins, if you don't understand how you're making profit, if you don't understand what each aspect of your product costs, you're really not going to make any progress in your business. You're actually going to go round and round. So how much are you spending essentially on production, on marketing, on a team if you are using a team, on distribution to get to your profits? You need to just pinpoint each and every cent. And it depends how much you are charging for your services in order to get your cost structure. And so it's important to know all those aspects of how you're servicing your customer with all the within your product. Then moving on to the 8th point, which is key matrices. This is a way, an indication, a measurable indication to show progress. Are you actually moving forward, or are you just enjoying yourself in your business space, just moving product up and down? So for Nilotica, as I said, we started selling on Shopify. And the first matrix was we saw returning customers. You can tell, you can track customers, you can track where you're selling the most. And so the data on Shopify really helped us understand which segment buys the product most. Are people coming back? Are they giving good reviews on social media platforms? And so we knew when the customer was responding positively to continue getting the product to them. We've got 3 points under product matrix here, which is, again, repeat purchase, customer reviews, and return rate. Are customers buying your product and actually returning them? Or do they love your product and just eating it up and lapping it up? We've got a marketing matrix where you can use this matrix on social media again. Are you getting conversion rate? Are you getting engagements? This aspect will tell you if you understand your customer, if your brand is actually connecting to your customer. And then you've got your revenue matrix. Monthly revenue, actually making money coming in, or using your own money to continually create product and send it out to the customer. And very importantly, your gross margins. You need to work on that. You need to learn what gross margins are, and just to understand where you are placing your cents of every single service that you're putting out there. Those essentially tell you, these metrics tell you if your business will survive when you put it out into the market, into your community. And you'll see the last piece, which is the 9th segment. What makes it difficult for anybody else to copy you? What is your competitive advantage? We at Nilotica have a very strong founder story. We focus on moisture first philosophy, meaning natural hair needs moisture. That's the basis of natural hair. Then you see it growing, and it's the understanding of our customers' hair. And so we've placed a lot of focus around the founder story, the moisture first philosophy, and so our customers' hair is number 1 on our list. If you can fill these 9 boxes, you have a business plan, a real one, not a fluffy one, not one full of wording that never gets to the customer's hands. And this plan, this business plan, the 1-pager, will set you up for your first business. And so in closing, I'd like to say, take one thing away from you, which is you don't need a fancy business plan. You actually need clarity. That's the most important. Clarity on who you serve, what the problem is, and how you measure your progress. Put it all on 1 page. Keep it clean, keep it focused, and start before you feel ready. That's the most important. That was what I was told. Start before you feel ready, and so your brand or your business will evolve as you grow and you grow. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was so straight to the point, nice and sweet, Thokozile. So thank you so much for that. I like the fact that you mentioned that you don't need to be ready to start your local business. So you can just start and then you will grow as time goes on. I mean, I do understand that as as someone who also owns a startup company, that you don't necessarily have to have all the tools and everything that is needed for you to start. You can start with just what you have right now, and then you can grow as time goes on. So thank you very much for sharing this, Thokozile. And I like the fact that you just presented this 9 elements, these factors that you presented, the 9 sections that you presented with the audience today. So we are now going to the Q&A sessions. We would like to find out if there are any questions. I see in the chat box, there are no questions as yet in the chat box. But if you have any question, you can just raise your hand, and then we will be able to attend to that question that you might have. So thank you so much. I'd like to thank all the speakers, and also I'd like to thank Proudly South African for hosting this important webinar that looks at it's moving your idea to execution, how you can start your first local business. So please, I would like to encourage you to, even the speakers, not just the audience, please use the official hashtag when you are posting about this webinar, so that we will be able to, so that Proudly SA will be able to capture your post on social media. Let me also repeat the handles on social media, so that if you are not currently following Proudly South African on social media, you can follow Proudly South African on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and LinkedIn. On Twitter, which is now X, on X, the handle is @ProudlySA. On Instagram, the handle is @proudly.sa, and then on Facebook, it's Proudly South African, as well as on LinkedIn, it's Proudly South African. So we've learned so much from the speakers today in this webinar, starting with Kaylin, and then also followed by Balisa, and then followed by Thokozi. Yeah, so if there are any questions, are there any questions?
I think
Robin,
there's a
I see
question.
your hands. There's a question.
Yeah, in the chat, just confirming which company Palesa is from. So I think you can share that details in the chat.
Okay, I don't see the question in the chat. Okay, what's the question, Kaylin?
It's under the Q&A.
Just
Oh, it's under
confirm which company Palesa is from. I think the audience want to get a link to her website or Instagram handle. Yeah.
Okay.
Should I share them?
Yes, please share them.
Okay, so for Beige Butterfly, it is for Beige Butterfly Hair and Skincare. It is Beige Butterfly HS on Instagram, and on Instagram for Beige Butterfly, for Beige Water, it is Beige Water and Refreshments. Those are on Instagram, and then alternatively as well, same names on Facebook. And
Okay.
our
Thank
number
you,
is 065. Oh, okay, cool.
Okay, are you still continuing with the number?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
So the number is 065-021-4111. So that's 065-021-4111.
Okay, all right. So do you have a business WhatsApp on that number?
Yes, we do. That is for WhatsApp and for calls.
All right, okay. Thank you so much, Palisa. I can see also in the Q&A here, someone, Akuya was asking, what is the name of your brand, Palisa?
So the cosmetic brand is Beige Butterfly Hair and Skincare, and the water brand is actually called Beige Water. So I kind of kept it in the family with the beige.
All right, okay. Okay, all right. Thank you, Palisa.
But
Are there any other questions?
If you Google Beige Butterfly, I'm so sorry to interject. If you Google Beige Butterfly, you'll be able to see our website and all the information is there.
Okay, all right. Okay, I hope you answered Akwiya and also Keta. So thank you, Palisa, for your detailed responses. Is there another question? Is there any further question? Okay, it seems like there are no further questions. So I would like to thank Proudly South African for hosting this webinar. As I was saying earlier on, what I was encouraging you to use the official hashtag for Proudly South African. It is hashtag buy local to create jobs. So it's hashtag buy local to create jobs. So please use that hashtag when you're posting about this webinar on your own social media. So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, speakers, for sharing this valuable insights. And I think the buzzword throughout this webinar is that people should remain authentic in building their businesses. I know Kaylin mentioned that people follow the people would follow who you are and how you make them feel. So that's very important to be authentic. Yes, so that also your target market can also resonate with your brand. So thank you, team. The team from Proudly South African for having us today. So Robin, you may just come in if there's anything you would like to say in this webinar as part of the closing.
There's a voice loudly calling, day by day, the voice of the future.
When I started my business, all I wanted was to create jobs and a legacy for the next generation, because I see opportunity when others see impossibility.
It all started with a thought and then a seed in the garden, which grew into my very own farm that feeds the whole nation daily.
Cotton, silk, and a little bit of treasure, I create masterpieces that give South Africans an identity, comfort, and confidence, because when you look good, you feel good.
From the factory workers to the warehouse and then over the seas, I want to show the world what Proudly South African looks like. It all started with just some ink on paper and inspiration to bring people together. With my furniture, I now help create spaces that are beautiful, comfortable, and authentic to human light and connection.
I've always been driven by curiosity. It fueled my dreams to create automobiles that accelerate our nation into greater possibilities and the beauty of the unknown.
I was born into a rainbow nation. My life has been full of colors and mixed flavors. And when I started my bakery, I wanted to share that joy with the world and with South Africans in particular.
All I ever dreamt of was to be a bird and fly high. And now I have the wings to help others fulfill their dreams of flying high too.
But it can only be a dream until you make it a reality. All they need is your faith, your trust, your loyalty, your appreciation.
And most importantly,
your support.
Because supporting local businesses
helps create jobs
and secures our future.
South Africa, their future is in your hands. So what are you going to do about it? Be proudly South African. Buy local to create jobs.
Thank you, Team Proudly SA. So I can see here in the Q&A, there's another question here, another question from Manda Dinyani, saying, hi, can the presenters give us a summary on how to handle tax as a small business? How to handle tax as a small business?
I'll give some feedback from my side. One thing I've learned in building businesses is focus on what you're good at and hire the people that that can support you where you fall short. I am not great with tax, so I hire a freelance consultant that is a specialist in my field, and I work on a rate with them that is preferential because I refer them to other people as well. So there's always ways in which you can bring down your cost as well when it comes to freelancers. And with tax, I wouldn't play around with it. I would hire somebody to do that if it's not your specialty. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, thank you, Kaylin, for answering that question. I hope the attendee has been answered. So, yeah, I think that if there are no further questions, that's the end of our webinar today. Please follow Proudly South African on social media so that you can be updated with other initiatives that they currently have. So yeah, from me, Mpumetele, goodbye. Thank you. Have a great afternoon ahead. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today. Bye-bye.